Oh, hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Hi.
Uh, get to do Legos a couple weeks ago.
Wait a second. Couldn't hear you that well, and it might just be the background noise from my washing machine. Maybe I'll try some
Oh,
headphones.
you're good. Can you hear okay?
Okay.
Is this better?
Yes.
Yay! I was just asking if you got to play with Legos on Mother's Day.
Oh, yes. So my children did put together this, let's see if I can move this. Bird of Paradise Lego plant.
I love it.
So
It's so cool.
it is so neat. Even the pot is Lego. So
Amazing.
yeah, that stuff is so cool. When I was a kid, we only had like the big bricks,
Mm-hmm.
so kind of run of the mill. There were no Star Wars properties. None of that
Yeah.
stuff was going on. Just make airplanes or something.
Yeah, get creative.
Yeah, yeah.
I love this. I just got my friend the Phoenix from Harry Potter.
Mm,
Because there's like a Lego set where you can build the Phoenix because
yeah.
she has like the whole Seinfeld set and like the Harry Potter stuff and she loves them. They're so cool. The botanics are so cool.
Yes, yeah. I have more. I have some like it's like a wildflower bouquet, but
Mhm.
I haven't put that together yet. I'm going to see how today goes for me. I might not have time
Yeah.
to fuss with it, but I'm excited nonetheless. It's
Yeah.
yeah, like you listen to a podcast. Yeah,
It's very mindful. Like it's nice to like kind of like focus on this one thing that's like, I don't know, it's meditative.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So how is the world treating the two of you?
Um, it's good. There's always bad news to wake up to.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
it's been, oh gosh, just take the last 3 years,
Oh yeah.
and it's really kind of been nonstop uh, bummer.
Hmm. It's like a big bummer, I know.
Yeah.
But personally, it's good. We built a pizza oven and my partner has a backyard. And so we built a little pizza oven back there and made pizza
Mm.
this weekend, which was fun. Just like very simple, like bricks stacked. And so that was fun.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, the kind of stuff like uh, I used to deliver for Amazon, and you go to
Mm.
people's houses and they have fire pits,
Yeah.
and you're like, that's the life,
I
man.
know. I can at my apartment, I can see into like some neighbors' backyards, and especially when COVID hit, everyone's staying at home. They just made their backyard like so nice. I was just like living through like vicarious, like staring out the window, like I want to play cornhole. Like look, like that looks nice. Like never have I wanted a yard so bad.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I have absolutely been there. You know, when I moved into this place, I was like, I still don't have outdoor space, but it's nicer in terms of the apartment community is huge. So there's these walking paths, and I live on a
Yeah.
walking path, so I can like look out, and it's a nice view outside instead of
Mm,
like the street view,
yeah.
you know, trash day.
Yeah.
Just so yeah, yeah, everything's in that respect it's looking up, but it would be nice to have a patch of grass, but I don't want to take care of the grass. That's the other
Yes.
part of it.
Yeah.
How are you doing, Jess?
Oh, there we go. Sorry, for some reason my Zoom is acting wonky today. Like it took forever to load, and I hit mute and it was like taking its time. But I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking.
That's good. That's good. Today it's going to be fairly light. I mean, we are, as you know, we are down a few members today, so we're just going to go through your two issues, as best as we can. We're going to do a quick review, or maybe, well, not our last review because we will do a final review, but we're going to do a review of the last 2 weeks, see how things went. And then we'll go through today's single issue and answer any questions that you have about your final 2 weeks of the project. So, who would like to go first?
I can go. I can start us off.
Awesome. Oh, let me give you permissions because I think that I did not do that.
All right. Um, just need to open up the issue, but everything else is. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Let me share my screen real quick.
All right.
Can everyone see it okay?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So I was with Jess this past week and we had issue number 12, which as a user, I want to view a list of my shopping list items in order of how soon I'm likely to need to buy each of them again. So it's clear what I need to buy soon. So we use the color coding, obviously, of course. And then yeah, so it was a big guy, and I'm just gonna jump. I'm doing the demo, so I'm just gonna show you. We'll get into the code, but I'm gonna do the demo. And so once you get here, it shows, hey, what do you want to do? I'm gonna create a new list for this one. It's empty, and for the sake of the demo, I'm going to add 4 different items I'm going to add one to be soon, which is we want it in 7 days or less to buy it. I'm going to add one kind of soon. So just do this. I'm going to add one not so soon and do that. And then I'm going to add an inactive one. This can be anything for the sake of the demo. I'm just going to add soon. But once it's added, you'll see once we go back to the list that there's no color. And soon, 7 days or less is green, meaning let's get it soon, kind of soon, 7 to 30 days, kind of soon, and then not so soon, 30 days or more. And for the sake of the, sorry, I keep saying that, demo, I'm going to go into our shopping list and look at the data and edit the data a little bit to see the inactive, because inactive will be, it's the last purchase, well, the previous estimate equals, oh, sorry, what is it? I'm going to look at the issue. Inactive means there's only one purchase in the database, or the purchase is really out of date, meaning the time has elapsed since the last purchase is 2 times what was estimated. So I'm going to make the previous estimate, let's say 20 days. And then I think I still have my, oops, that's a different name. Sorry, y'all. Let's see, slurp. I need the word slurp. Where are you? Who makes these? Okay. Inactive. All right, I'm gonna make it 20 days. Update. I think I still have this timestamp. Yes, so this should be about 46 days from now. So that is 2 times or more than the previous estimate. And when we go back here, it should be grayed out. Let's see. Yay. So yeah, so inactive is gray. It will stay on your list unless you choose to delete it, which Cole is that guy about it. And yeah, so that is their demo. I will pass it to Jess to talk about the code. Unless anyone has any questions specifically about the image or the graphics and user interface of this.
Not yet.
Okay, cool. All right, Jess is gonna tell you all about the code.
Sounds good. Let me share my screen. All right, can you see my screen? All right, cool. So the first thing we started with was sorting the list. So we had it filtered from a previous issue. And so then we sorted it, and basically if the first thing we do is sort it by the previous estimate. So if one thing is supposed to be bought sooner than the other, then it sorts by that. And then if they're in the same time period, then it'll sort it by sorted alphabetically. So we made them to lowercase and compare them, so that when we have 3 things within the same red, green, or yellow, it'll sort them alphabetically for you. And then if nothing, then it'll just return 0. The next part is, go down, item status. So basically, we have it so that previous estimate, so when you think the person's going to buy it, if you think it's less than 7, it'll be green, and then it will set the ARIA label to say, how many days expected until purchase needed. Same thing for yellow and red, and then the color would be gray, and then inactive item for gray. And then the criteria, we changed that a little bit, so it says if the last purchase date is not null, so it has a date when it was bought previously, so it's at least bought once. And the previous estimate is not 0, and it's an active item, which comes up to, where did that function go? All right. I'll come back to that. So those 3 things will make it inactive, because we found out that if it didn't have a previous estimate, so like say you had an item on the list and you bought it so soon that it dropped your estimate to 0, then it would show up as inactive because it was twice how many days it should have been before you bought it again, even though it should be something, it should be something that it's definitely not inactive because you just bought it. So that's why we put these 2 checks in there too. And then we come down to the rendering. Oh, that's where I put it. Oh, oh no.
Oh no. Oh no.
She said she'd been having some trouble.
I know.
Yeah, I'm going to wait until I don't want to get deep in conversation and then not let her back in.
Absolutely.
Let's see if we can get her back in here.
Oh.
Oh man. Let's see here. I do have 2 questions. So let's see what we get.
Zenzi, do you work for Zapier?
No,
Okay.
I'm one of the few non-Zapier folks here. I work for a small company called Clarity.
Nice. Do you love it?
Yeah, I do. So they are a company. They build software for education firms.
Oh, cool.
So yeah,
Awesome.
they're in the ed tech space, but they do a lot of contracting.
Mhm.
So it's not like one product; it's several. So keeps the work varied, which is nice.
Yeah, you can learn a lot. That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was telling my partner about Collab Lab and Zapier, and he was like, oh, I want to work at Zapier. I guess it's
I
a well-known place because he works in tech as like a data and product analyst. So, but he was like, you should try to work at Zapier.
I
So,
know.
yeah,
I've never met anyone from Zapier that has been anything short of outstanding,
that's
just as a human
awesome.
being, just
Yeah.
friendly, kind, all that good stuff. So yeah, I have to admit they know how to pick good people, but
Mhm.
it seems like it's super hard to get in. Like just when
Yeah.
I'm looking,
Even Mike said that he applied like a few times before he got it. Like he was like, I applied like 2 or 3 times before they even hired me, which is I kind of like that in tech. It's not weird to reapply,
yeah,
which is
yeah.
nice. I feel like I'd having like anxiety and be like, oh, they're gonna, but it doesn't seem to be the case.
Yeah,
Is the Collab Lab kind of like a pet project of Zapier, or how is it all connected? I kind of wondered
I
that.
think it's just because Andrew was a longtime Zapier employee. And I think that in terms of pulling people to volunteer, that's his kind of group of people who he could ask. At least it seems fairly just the circle of influence that Andrew had, and he was able to ask. But it doesn't seem like Zapier as an organization. I mean, it would be nice. Like, it would be lovely if they just kind of picked from the Collab Lab and hired folks from
Well,
within.
that's kind of what I was wondering since Mike. It sounded like some people had been through Collab Lab. I was like, this is a really cool way to maybe recruit people, and
Yeah.
didn't know if this was kind of like part of their pet project to be like, let's find some really special people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it would be awesome. But as far as I know, I haven't seen that. I mean, I don't know exactly how Mike came in, but I don't think Mike wasn't in the Collab Lab, was he?
I don't know. I might have
Okay.
made that assumption wrongly. That's why I kind of pulled that back a little bit. It's like I'm not sure. It seemed like I thought I'd heard somebody had been through this that worked at Zapier. So I wasn't sure if there was like some connection of kind of like a yeah.
Hmm.
Anyway,
I'm trying to think if there's any
I'm just
I
grateful
don't
for it.
yeah,
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know of any former collabbies that work at Collab Lab now. I mean that work at Zapier now. I know a lot of mentors who are also managers at
Uh,
the company, more than anything else. All right. Okay. I don't know exactly what's happening with Jess.
Yeah.
I think her, yeah.
She messaged me and said my computer died, even though it was plugged in. And she's like,
Oh,
I'll be back ASAP, but I had to restart it. And so she should be back
oh,
in minutes. Yeah.
You want me to go since mine's small?
yeah, yeah. Why don't you
Okay.
show us what's going on?
All right. Can you see everything? Is that a yes? Okay. Sorry. All right, so ours was pretty simple and straightforward. We need to add a delete button that had the capability of deleting an item, and before it's deleted, it needed a confirmation prompt to confirm that the user really wanted to take that drastic step. So here's our code. Steph and I both had really crazy weeks since I was starting the job and she was going through a big conference. So we worked asynchronously, which really went smoothly. And she came up with this function the first night I got out of work. And she was like, what do you think about this? So I created a button, popped it in, and it worked really well. It's taken in the ID from the mapped list and the item name. The item name's used for the prompt message, and then the ID is used to delete it. And then what I added was the update, so you didn't have to have a page refresh to, so it updated without a page refresh.
Hi, sorry about that.
Welcome back. Okay, so here's ours in action. I've got a bunch of items here. Pull up. Okay, ants. And then we click delete. There's the prompt, asks us if we want to delete it. We say okay, and it's gone. And it's gone from the database. So that was pretty much it. Yep. We had the button. Had some questions about that in the office hours that we never figured out, where accessibility wise, you can never get to the cancel portion.
You
It's,
can't?
no, and I don't know what the deal is here.
Okay, so
It was going to okay, or it's stuck on okay. So if we hit return, what's going on?
what? Oh,
Okay, so we'll navigate to it, and then we'll delete. The pop-up comes up,
okay.
and if we hit return, it will delete because it's on okay. If we hit
Right.
escape, you can get out of the thing, but you can't. We weren't able to get it to.
What about shift tab?
Yeah, it didn't work, and shift tab
Didn't work?
backwards. Yeah, I'll do it right here. So we go there,
Mm,
and then here's tab. It just kind of goes through the things up top. You can see.
hmm.
And then shift tab just goes backwards through those things up top. So it kind of like takes it out. We put it in a form and that didn't fix it. So we asked Andrew and he pretty much said that someone using a screen reader would know how to escape from that, to use escape. But if you had any ideas about that going forward.
Well, I'll tell you, our team used a product for all of our messaging. We used an accessible product instead of using any built-in kind of JavaScript pop-ups that were available. Yeah.
The issue suggested using a confirmation JavaScript confirmation thing. That's why we went with that.
Yeah.
So like if we go to that thing, it says many teams jump to a modal as a solution here, but modals are fraught with accessibility concerns, so consider using a simple JavaScript confirm dialog.
Yeah, I guess even though even though this warning probably existed, we researched accessible
Gotcha. What did,
products. I would have to look to see what the name of it was. I remember it being very easy to implement, but you know, at this point, we'll talk more about the last 2 weeks, but it might be an issue that you'll add to your own kind of Kanban board for the next 2 weeks as something nice to implement, nice to have, nice to fix, and see if you'll have time to to troubleshoot it a bit further. Yeah. But let's see here. So what other kind of issues did you run into as you were working through that? It sounds like you worked pretty seamlessly.
yeah, I mean ours was not anything like like Justin Hans's. So it was kind of, we're so grateful that they took that one and that we could work asynchronously and get it done without any trouble. So it, yeah, that's really the only thing. It's really, she, like I said, I got out of work and she's like, what do you think about this? And popped it in, it worked, just needed to do a state update. And really the only thing that we ran across that was a problem was that possible accessibility issue. I don't know if that should be tied to that label and that input as well. I don't know.
Yeah, we might need to take another look at that. For now, I think it's worth creating like a little issue about just a general accessibility review and making sure that any other warnings or any other things that we implement and just kind of tie it all in. And I think that once we do a bit more research, we might be able to find a solution, because I have to believe that you're not doing something that's so out there in JavaScript that someone else hasn't run into this very issue and figured out how to at least test to make sure that it's still accessible. So for now, um, yeah, for now we're going to kind of table it, but I think that there might be an opportunity to fix it within the next 2 weeks. I will take a look at my old project TCL-43 and see what we use. Oh, it was called Sweet Alerts.
Sweet alerts.
Yes, Sweet Alerts 2 at the time. So I don't know if they've had an update.
We didn't do an exhaustive search, though. I mean, it is likely there's something there. We kind of waited. We thought, we'll ask in office hours. It's probably something simple. Because we had a lot going on. And Andrew was just like, well, somebody might be able to escape out of it. And there's probably a way to fix it, but he didn't have a.
Yeah. But that kind of leads me into the other question I had overall, because the other team, one of the part of the acceptance criteria was how their information reads using a screen reader. And I wanted to know how you tested it and which screen reader you chose.
So for some reason, the screen reader I had didn't pick up ARIA labels, so I'm like looking for something different to try. But what I did was I went into React DevTools, and I could see that it was putting the label on the list item so that it could be read. But yeah, that's kind of my next thing is to find something that will actually read it, because it wasn't picking them up on any website. So, and I had like a free, I forget what it's called. Let me see. But it would like read the text on the page, but it wasn't reading any of the extra stuff. Any
Are
of like
you on the Mac or Windows?
Windows. Yeah, it's called Screen Reader.
Okay, all right, all right. Generally, if I'm testing at home, I'm using Mac's built-in accessibility reader.
What was
Yeah.
the extra stuff that you were trying to get to read?
I was trying to get it to read our ARIA labels that are put on that say like, oh, you should buy within how many days. So I can see that the label's there, but like the screen label didn't pick it up. And when I tried testing it like on like another site, it wasn't picking them up. So I don't know if maybe it's just something that's like cheap and free that'll just like read the text on the page, but it didn't seem to pick it up.
Okay, I tested it on the Mac and it seemed like it worked.
Well, that's good. All right, I should
It
have
would say, it would read the thing and it'd be like grouped in, and then it would read the grouping that it was. It was really cool. It was awesome.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's
Good
what
to
I
know.
was wondering because I also have a Mac, so that's the only way I know how to test it without using, some purchased software. So I was kind of wondering, okay.
Yeah, that's what I heard. And then yeah, like even at work, we have Mac, so they all do it that way. So I'm like, oh, let me see if I can find something else that will kind of do it. But I'm glad it worked for Cole.
Good, good. Let's see. The last question I have, and this is for Hans and Jess as well, is there was a question about, well, part of the acceptance criteria was about making each subsection visually distinct. And they gave the example of the background color. Did you kind of brainstorm to think about if there were other things you wanted to do to make it visually distinct, or did you feel like, oh, well, that's solid, let's do it? Or tell me a little bit about your process with that.
Yeah, I think that we definitely wanted to be distinct enough, but we talked about adding like kind of like a key to be like, this is what the colors mean, right? Because even and we also want to make it a little more appealing in terms of colors, but that will be the next couple weeks. So we talked about being like, okay, green means you should buy it soon, yellow means this, red means this, and also just I think that's like the main thing we want to do aside from like aesthetic, to make it just look nicer. We want to add a key to be like, hey, this is what it actually means. So there's no, I know for me, even right before we got on this call, I was like, green means this, right, Jess? I was like, I need to know.
We've definitely had flipping, like with the
Yeah,
testing and figuring out the criteria and everything. Like
there's a lot of like, wait,
what
does
should be
green mean,
green? What should be
yeah,
red?
because green means, do we need it now or is it good? I don't, so that's something I know we wanted to have clarified. But definitely just like the distinction between colors for sure.
Yeah, we figured everything might change when I mean, well, the way it looks now definitely needs to change.
Yeah.
But things will change when we style it. So we were like, well, let's just get it all, figured out, and then we can always go back into code and, change the colors and,
Mhm.
so we just kind of went with the basic red, yellow, green.
Mhm. Yeah, and we were playing with the checkbox colors, but that's complicated. And so Jess was like, let's just put it in a div and make the div a background, and then we can make it beautiful later, which I am totally fine with. And like, it's honestly a little clearer because the screenshot of the example is like very vague too.
Yeah.
Like it's like very subtle, like the colors are like, you're like, okay, like what does this
Yeah.
mean, right? So I'm
Right.
like, yeah.
Yeah, we definitely like the background color better because it was way more clear than trying to see like if that was like, orange or red. Because they had like pale colors, I think, in the checkbox. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Do you have any suggestions on like how we can make it the most clear to any user?
Okay, I think, well, colors are a good indicator, but I think that you could think about thoughtfully using icons, or a key can work, but now to me, CSS was never my strong suit. So, because now you're talking about, okay, where is this key going to be? How far is it going to be from my list? If people are using this on their phone, can they see the key while they're looking at their list? Um, to me, I think the thoughtful use of an icon might be your best bet in some way to indicate which things are more urgent and which things aren't. Because I also struggle, because I was looking at your list and I'm like, does red mean like buy right now because this is like, your things in red, like do it immediately? Or does green mean everything's cool? Like what are we talking here? So yeah, it can be a little fuzzy. I've seen some teams do like almost like a sub list, but I don't know about that. I don't know if that appeals to me, but might be nice to see what everybody's thinking. Do you have any strong opinions, Cole?
Not offhand, no. But I honestly, I'm so like that. You guys are coming up with all these good reasoning. It's just like it's red, yellow, green. So I may not be the best person to ask.
Now,
Things fly over my head.
I am a classic overthinker. I might be putting way too much thought into these colors than any other person would. Everyone else might just intuitively get it, but I'm just like already.
I mean, I was confused all week. Yeah, like being like,
I go to the code and look because
yeah, I'm like, oh yeah, that means I am. And actually, the first thing I think of is Wordle, and and then there's a one called Subwaydle, which is a one for New York City Metro, where it's like the game is like to connect. It's the same concept as Wordle but it's like 3 transfers or 2 transfers to get to a place, but they have like color coding. Whereas like Wordle has the green if it's right, and then grayed out if it's wrong. But then Subwaydle has one where it's like if it's blue, that means it's the same line but different train. And then if it's like yellow, it means so. With that said, but it's every day it's a different game every day. But they have like a little, and I can screenshot it and show you guys. But they have like a little settings icon that you can click on to be like, oh, this is what that color means. So we could do something like that where, because every time I'm like, wait, what the hell does blue mean again? Like, what is the blue telling me? And then I look at it and I'm like, oh yeah, blue means it's this, and it's all mobile. So I'm like, that could be interesting, where it's like something that's like really, I don't know.
Yeah, you can use like tooltips, like kind of on hover, that it shows what it is. Or now that I think about it, the key is not that bad, because I have to remember that there's only going to be 3 things on the key. So it's not like the subway system key where you need a bunch of space. So even if it was just a small bar that was just sticky or like in the footer somewhere, and it just explained the 3 things that were happening. Yeah, that makes sense.
Because I forget constantly.
Also a title property that you can put on the div that you could conditionally. Basically, it's the thing where if your pointer's over it, it's going to pop up a little box. I don't think you can style it or make the text any bigger. So a hover would be better if you want to do that.
Yeah, but I don't know how hover does on mobile, right? Can you hover on mobile? It's all like,
I think you have to not tap it, hold down your finger. Like if you just keep your finger wherever it is, then those properties show, the hover properties show.
okay.
Yeah, okay, so we have some good ideas there, some things to think about. Just in the checking our time, let's get to our little retro. And yes, it's funny to use the term postmortem, um, which some teams use for their retros, but often those are retros where things have gone wrong, like a failure made it to production, and you just are sitting around trying to nicely figure out whose fault it is and how to fix it and how to make sure it never happens again. But that's not what we do here. We do retros. I'm going to give everybody a minute, even though it looks like we have some stuff already on here. Thanks, Cole. And we're going to start with appreciations. Does everybody have a link, or do I need to put that in chat?
It'd be helpful if you
Yes, let me do that now. There we go. And I am also going to share my screen here. All right. Okay, giving you a minute. When you are finished, just select, just put done in chat, please. Okay, looks like we are all done. Um, I guess I will kick it off. Just really want to thank Cole during this first week of a new job, with continuing to work with us here, finishing out the project, wrapping it up, and also just still communicating and collaborating with your partner this week. I'm sure that Steph was happy that things went smoothly this week, and I just really appreciate your willingness to continue and your ability, I have, to just manage all that goes with starting a new job and continuing with a side project. And I guess I will pass it to Hans.
Yeah, thank you, Cole, for merging. That was so nice. I really appreciate it. And then, sorry, I don't know what's wrong with me. And Jess and I worked together this week really well. Super chill. Jess is so great and so smart. And I think that we finished one part of the code, the sorting verse, and then we decided to take a break rather than jumping into like the next issue, the part of the issue. We're like, let's just stop while we're feeling nice still. But we're also really good at communicating this week and working. We work together, but a little bit asynchronously as well. Jess worked on it when she felt inspired, and same with me, and it was really nice. And she put a bunch of our thoughts together, like we were talking about it separately, and then she got it done, and it was amazing. And yeah, it was really great. And then Zinzi, thank you for your questions. I think it's the testing, I did like a little tiny bit, and then I was frustrated and I didn't get back to it. And I was like, oh shoot, that's so smart to go back. And I think thinking ahead about accessibility it's kind of like mobile first development, where we should be thinking about accessible first development as well. So I really appreciating having someone that is going to make sure that we're doing that, because it's so important. And yeah, I think it was a really good week. And then let's see, and Jess, I'm gonna pass it to you.
Cool. So I appreciated Cole's and Mike's comments a lot this week. So Cole, I've dabbled in React a little bit, but I'm still like very new to it. Like I've mostly done like, pure JavaScript. So I can get things to work, but it might not always be the best thing for React, if that makes sense. And so Cole picked up on like me having something in the render that really shouldn't have been, and like he told me how to pull it out, and that was super helpful, because once he said it, I was like, oh yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And of course, Mike's comments, like his suggestions about like getting rid of some state that we didn't really need, and that wasn't really functioning the way we thought it was. So that was pretty awesome. And then Hans, this issue had a lot of tough spots, and I liked how this week we kind of like traded off figuring out those tough spots. And Hans really took the lead on like figuring out how to test a lot of that, time-based stuff. So that was really awesome, and I appreciate it. And she did a great job. And it was amazing working with her this week. And I think we got even better at taking breaks this week. Like we actually had a day in between meeting instead of like, which I think is about big for us. So yeah, that was a great part of this week. And I will pass it to Cole.
Well, first, thanks for letting me merge. I feel bad taking credit because I wanted to get the experience. So I appreciate you all letting me do that. And I appreciate Jess for helping me with the GitHub and get questions, bouncing off what she did when she merged everything. So it's really nice. It was a really busy week for Steph and I know Steph, on top of her conference, also had a sick pet, which is just terrible. So as the way we worked together asynchronously was just really good. And we really appreciate you all taking the ticket that you did, because it looked tough, had so many working parts, and you guys really knocked out of the park. So that was cool. I appreciate the communication and teamwork that we've all had. And it's been there from the beginning, but you can really see it evolve. And kind of just the way you were talking about the way you work together. And I know the way Steph and I felt like we worked together, but then we both of our teams still work together. It just seems like we're really evolving and becoming efficient, and it feels like a lot of growth.
I'll just read. It looks like Steph has one down here, just thanking the team. I appreciate how much we've grown as a team, how well we communicate now, and how fluidly we work together. Yeah, that seems to be the sentiment all the way around. It's been really fun to kind of watch it evolve and reach the level it is at now. So yeah, just great all around appreciations. Also, I don't remember if I thanked him, but Andrew also for stepping in for office hours right as he was about to leave for his trip, which I know was a hectic time. So thanking him just remotely for that. Going to give us about 3 or 4 minutes to go through what went well, and just throw done in the chat when you're ready. Okay, looks like we're all ready. Going to start with Jess this time around.
Sure. So I agree on communication being wonderful this week. I know the other pair was going through a lot, but we also, I mean, the whole time we knew what was going on and where they were in their issue. Um, so we weren't in the dark. So that was pretty awesome. Um, and I think we did better with taking care of ourselves this week. So like me and Hans were taking a break, and I think things went more smoothly because we took the time to kind of come back to it when we were ready, and just like keeping in touch with each other. And then the other pair with, they had a conference and Cole had a new job. And so like they did what worked for them and they were flexible. So I think that was awesome this week. I'll pass it to Hans.
Yeah, just to reiterate, communication was great. It was nice to see the Slack like very fluid, and everyone was talking, and it was really lovely. So I'm scrolling on down on mine. Where is mine? Oh yeah, it was like I felt heard by Jess, and just a lot of empathy with this group too, especially given what the whole project is about. It's really learning, and I know for me, balance, like Jess was saying, we took breaks, and I know personally I was kinder to myself, because it's, even though this is like a very low pressure, low risk project, I still take a lot of pride in it. And I know that in the first, up until this week, I was like, not in anyone's reason except for my own, feeling pressure to make sure that everything was the right way and this way and that way. Whereas like now we're at the end of the week, and there's still, in a good way, there's still many things that we can do to make, like, what can I do to test more, and what can I do to refactor and blah blah blah. But I don't feel bad. I feel like, oh, there's just things, like even when Jess and I were working on the issue, I was like, oh, this is a lesson learned for me and Cole last week of how can we name things in the right, because we kept naming previous estimate and it would pick up the other previous estimate. And so it's like learning each week. Anyway, I didn't freak out. I didn't have a panic attack about stuff, which is, I think, very good. And yeah, I just really appreciate that. I think it's cool. It's very cool. So Cole, I will give it to you.
Yeah, I think what went well, Steph and I working asynchronously and getting our stuff done, and just that communication is really good. And just overall, the communication, I put that I feel like this week demonstrated a lot of maturity in the team communication. Everything was just smooth and efficient, and it's kind of like, how it felt kind of like how things probably should work. Like before, there's never been any pressure, and we worked that way. But this week, it just kind of felt like everything was very professional, and just kind of like the community, like you said, the communication was there to get the job done. I don't know. I just felt like a lot of growth, and I felt like that was really cool.
Right. I will read this last one here from Steph. Let's see. It was my first time I have to work asynchronously, and I was surprised at how smoothly it went. Okay, yes. So that just reiterates what we've all been saying. The communication was smooth. For me, kind of as an acting kind of manager, project manager, the fact that everything was taking place in GitHub and Slack meant that I always knew the status of the project, which was fantastic. It really takes the pressure off of anybody else because they don't have to ask. They already know where everything is. And it just went really well. Also, very happy that everyone decided to take breaks as necessary with this when you got stuck. Pause and, you know, uh, just take care of yourselves. So very happy about that. Right, so now we're going to move on to what we can improve. Going to give us about 3 minutes to talk about what we can improve for the coming week, or 2 weeks, last 2 weeks, and put done in chat when you're ready. All right, so it looks like we're done there then. So for me, I think what we can improve is asking for help outside of the channel. Um, like I'm a Mac user and I am pretty sure that Mike is also a Mac user. So something like looking for a screen reader that's free outside of a Mac, shooting a quick chat message in the general channel might get you some really worthwhile suggestions. Same with just reading those ARIA labels or figuring out how to cancel out in a screen reader. I know there's at least one mentor who's just a real accessibility activist and really would probably be the first person that I would ask and would know right offhand how to handle it. So if you don't get the answers you need on the channel, don't be afraid to use the other Collabbies because we're a community and they would love to help you. Especially when you're making those messages, tell them what you've tried and see what kind of suggestions you get. You might get something that solves your problem pretty quickly. Let's see, I guess I'll kick it to Hans.
Yeah, and in line with what you're saying, it's like I know as an artist, my ideas can go bigger than like what can be actually be done or accessible. So I think making sure that we ask ourselves every time, specific, like being like, okay, is this possible? Is this accessible? Is this gonna, it's also gonna make everyone else happy? Like, are people gonna be happy with it? And so our communication has been great, but yeah, just sending it out there. And then along with that is like, let's just try whatever we want. Like we each have our own, like we could make our own branches this week, like specific to, and then be like, this is my idea, and send it out to everyone. And then, because there's nothing, I know in the past I've been like, should we try this or that? And it's like, let's just try it. Like whatever we want to do, we can just do it. And then if it doesn't work, then that's totally fine. But that's the cool thing with digital stuff is you can make 1,000 copies. And so yeah, it's like we have an idea. It's like very encouraging to just do whatever, So all right, and Jess, it is all yours.
Yeah, so not necessarily improve, but just keep an eye on communication because it seems like we're going into the next 2 weeks is going to be like a whole different structure, I guess. So just making sure that we're like extra on top of like communicating with each other and especially with like I mean we've kind of just been picking up issues up to this point. So like um yeah, just being real careful about like our ideas and making sure that we're communicating with everybody. And don't be afraid to like uh be bold and throw something out there or volunteer to try something or volunteer to do something if you want to try it out. So yeah. And I'll pass it to Cole doesn't have anything. I guess it'll be
Had a brain fart.
no problem.
That's all right. This did go well, so it's not surprising that our what we can improve list is fairly short at this point. So I have some. We're going to do action items. Does anybody have any action items that they can think of, or do you think you can add to this list? Because I want to see where we are. Does everybody feel like they?
I can't think of anything concrete.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I feel like this is, we can add this together if there's anything.
Yeah.
Like for this week specifically, but we can also, since Steph isn't here, we can communicate on Slack, just being like, when we want to meet, I'm thinking about it and you guys can let me know what you think. I'm thinking of like, if we spend separately, like a day or two coming up with our own ideas and then just meeting in the week and being like, this is what we think. And like, or just having like homework essentially, where it could be a sketch or it could be a branch where you like actually do some different rendering and then we can come together and be like, oh, we like that, or we like that. Because we had 2 weeks of the design, so the first week can be a lot of playing and then the second week can be like, these are the decisions we make. Because are we meeting next Sunday, or will it just be because if we are Are we meeting you guys the next Sunday?
We will meet next Sunday.
Okay, cool.
Now, what you show is up for debate. So
Okay.
will you show us actual physical improvements at that point? Maybe if you have any, but you might just be showing us however you're organizing your tasks,
Mhm.
whatever designs you've come up with using whatever design tool you decide on,
Yeah.
and just talk us through whatever decisions you've made about styling CSS or another tool is likely to be what we concentrate on.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So it's
Yes.
just like we can get together and like this is when we want to have the design decision, so we have enough time to test and or create it, build it, and then test it, and then yeah. So like those seem, and we can slack it up.
Yeah, I think we're gonna be doing a lot of talking in our Slack these next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I can, the job seems really flexible. So as long as I don't have meetings, I think I should be able to be pretty flexible with meeting times. As long as I know ahead of time and I can then get approval.
Okay. Well, we can decide like a few days to brainstorm, because I was looking at the issue and it had like suggestions of like how the flow should go. And I mean, we could work on all of that asynchronously, and then when we're ready, we can decide to meet up, all together. I'm still locked into, late afternoon, evening meetings, but
Yeah, I
sorry,
will
go
tell
ahead.
you, you're still paired technically this week.
Okay.
So it's still this week is Jess and Cole and Hans and Steph as two pairs. But there's no reason for you not to work in the way that you've outlined, as long as everyone's in agreement about kind of breaking away, brainstorming, and then coming together. Just make sure that all of you, it sounds like you've all read this issue thoroughly. If you have any questions, now's a good time, but also feel free to Slack if there's anything about the design process that's unclear.
Mhm.
Does anyone have any questions now, or any questions about just what the next 2 weeks will look like?
No, not for me. I can't think of anything specific, but like you said, we can throw it up to you when they do happen.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, well, like I said, those are your teams for the week, but also feel free to coordinate your efforts together and make whatever decisions that you see fit. We are always available on Slack if you need anything or if you have any questions. But with that, it looks like we are done with this week's retro and this week's meeting.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. All of you have a good week.
You
Thank you.
too.
You too.
Hey guys.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.